Hi everyone, welcome to Our Focus is You. My name is Tina Paulus Kraus.
Welcome back again, Ken Collins.
Holy cow, we are at week 3, or episode 3, I guess I should say. How exciting is that, Ken? We have a really jam-packed show today. I'm really excited about it. We're going to talk about self-discovery and awareness and all that kind of stuff. But first, before we get to that, what has been going on with you? What you been up to?
Well, I think like most of us, the 3 months we have of summer in Wisconsin here, there's a lot of busy activities going on. But as I look back to this past weekend, I participated for the first time in the Book in It Run for Literacy in Sun Prairie here at Sheehan Park. And you know, it was sponsored by the Sun Prairie Library Foundation for a really good cause, and I ran the 5K. But I had my most fun towards the end watching the children do their little sprint runs.
Yeah.
And how all the different personalities came about and things like that. And then they all of them commonly ran to that red goodie bag at the end of the race. And so that was fun to watch all that.
Fun. Did you place? Where'd you go? Where are you at with it?
Well, so I finished third.
Awesome. That's great.
In the age category of 50 to 59.
I think that's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations. Yes.
Never grow up, never stop growing. But then looking ahead to this weekend, I'm a CrossFitter. I enjoy competitive CrossFitting, and so I will be at the Fittest Farmland Challenge at the Alliant Energy Center this weekend, competing throughout the entire day in 4 different WODs, all farm-based. I think we're doing burpees over bales of hay.
That sounds like fun.
Tilling the field obstacle courses and things like that. And so that's how I find myself to relax. I enjoy relaxing doing CrossFit, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah, definitely.
And then lastly, I'm looking forward to next week. I'm headed to Florida.
Ah, vacation?
No, I'm a certified John Maxwell speaker, coach, and trainer, and part of the mentorship program. And so next week is the John Maxwell International live event certification and mentorship series. And so I'm looking forward to that, spending 3 days and nights learning from mentors. You know, I'm in a business where I coach and mentor people. I think it's appropriate that I have a coach and mentor.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I use the John Maxwell team and their world-class faculty members to do those kinds of things. There'll be a couple people there, keynote speakers I'm excited to work with in a workshop. Dr. Robert Rohn, who is an international expert on DISC personality assessments and profiling, all about people.
Nice.
And then secondly, Curtis Sliwa, of the founder of the Guardian Angels. And, that started in New York, and that's somebody I looked up to as a teenager, and I mentioned that in the first episode. And so go figure.
Yeah.
I am going to be spending 4 hours of quality time with somebody that I aspired to be way back then, and the way they're helping communities and working with police departments across the U.S., making a better place for everyone.
That's awesome. How awesome is that? That's cool stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Really
so
cool
a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, yeah.
But enough about me. So what's up with you? What's going on?
Well, I have been, I think, day and night getting ready for my workshop that's coming up on October 27th. So it's the very first workshop I've ever done. We're talking about awareness today, and that workshop is all about awareness. It's about kind of breaking out of the old habits and finding new habits, healthy habits, and learning how to really move forward in life and stuff like that. I'm super excited about it. We have Mary Burke coming as a keynote speaker, so we just announced that this week, and we just have a jam-packed day filled. I'm really, really excited about it. I've been to several of these kinds of retreats, and the really cool thing is it's just a place for a bunch of people to come together that are like-minded, that really want to work on themselves, and they're really into self-development and leadership and really understanding how to dig deep and kind of get rid of all that baggage and get rid of the old habits and build new habits. So that has been taking completely all of my time with my normal job. And yeah, so I can't wait for that to happen. Really cool stuff coming for it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to be there as well to cheer you on.
Yeah.
Also, my daughters have registered and want to participate. And I think it's a workshop for all ages, focusing on happiness in life and things like that.
Right,
and so,
right. I think in the hustle and bustle of life, we run through life and forget to really stop and take time for us and really kind of come back to center and understand what our purpose is and what we want in life, and so that we can kind of build that life around it. So it's a day to stop and let go of everything else and just completely focus on you.
All righty.
Yeah,
and in this busy world, we rarely take time to pause and invest in ourselves. So I think that's pretty cool what you're bringing in the community.
Thank you. Excited for it. So awareness.
Ah.
That's what we're talking about today, self-discovery and awareness. So what does self-discovery mean to you?
Well, I think I'm going to kind of frame it. What does it mean to everyone? When you talk about self-awareness and stepping back and taking a look at your true self, I think we all take that for granted.
I agree.
Oh, I'm self-aware. I'm comfortable in my own skin, and who's going to know me better than myself? However, it's probably a more difficult exercise than you think. And what I mean by that is there are some people who believe maturity isn't tied to age, but maturity is when we become comfortable in our own skin, and that can happen at different stages for people. When we become comfortable in our own skin, essentially what we're saying is we understand who we are. We also understand who we're not, and are good with that.
Right.
And so, again, I think, self-awareness, self-discovery, it seems kind of soft, and why spend some time on it? Because no one can tell me that. But, I think the reason that it's more difficult than we think, professionally, there are assessments to evaluate your strengths and your skill set and natural tendencies through the form of personality profile assessments. Myers-Briggs is out there. I think you all have heard some of that. Strength finders, and on and on and on. The most important thing, though, could be close friends. Keyword, friends who will not tell you what you want to hear as a friend, but tell it like it is without feeling offended. Because again, you need to understand who you're not just as equally with that, but not understand it, but be comfortable with it.
Accept it. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's huge.
So what are your thoughts?
I think I didn't really understand the whole concept, I don't think, of self-discovery or self-development. For me, what happened is, and I talked about it in another episode, one day I just kind of realized I didn't want to be unhappy anymore. And so, when that happens, how do you get out of that, and how do you move through it? And I found some tools that really helped me kind of dig and figure out what was going on, and we're going to talk about those in the next episode. But, I think that before you really have that mindset of I need to be self-aware, that's when you're going through life and you're not taking time for yourself and you're just moving and going. But when you kind of come in and you can become self-aware, what happens is kind of like what you said, you start to understand who you are and who you're not. And for my whole life, I had this little box, right? So I'm a recovering perfectionist. I like to say that's how I open up some of my talks, because I am a recovering perfectionist. So even today, before we started filming, I had all this story I was building in my head, and you have to pull out the tools, whatever tool you're going to pull out from your toolbox, and really understand that when you're sending yourself those signals and when you're telling yourself those stories, that's what happens and that's what manifests. And so being self-aware is just understanding your impact on others in addition to your impact on yourself. So it's really crazy now, because when you see somebody who's not self-aware, it's so obvious. And I think in the past I would maybe judge that, or I would try and control situations. And once you really understand that self-awareness piece and you're aware of it and you know how to control some of those emotions, it really makes a difference in your relationships. It makes a difference in how you work. It makes a difference in your family, because you're not trying to control things anymore. You're letting it go. You're coming back to center. You're understanding your strengths and what you are and what you're not, like you said. So for me, I didn't really get the whole concept until I walked the journey. And now that I've been walking the journey, it's amazing the things that open up for you and that can be in front of you if you just allow that to happen instead of trying to control every little segment of your life. So.
No, I think that's well framed. Their research says that self-awareness is the single most influential characteristic in a person's behavior. Because as you alluded to, it's not only how you feel about yourself, but how you feel about others.
Right.
So again, research says that if you are more pessimistic in your views, if you are less comfortable with yourself, but if you're feeling really good about yourself, you're more optimistic in your views. So it sets the tone for attitude within ourselves.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you think about that and think of others, I think that makes a lot of sense. You're more pessimistic because you're trying to be somebody that you're not and getting frustrated with things.
Right. Or you're trying to control situations that aren't going your way, and you become upset, and that's when the emotions come up and stuff like that. So it's about control and judgment. I say that so often. So if you really want to get self-aware with yourself, you really have to let go of the judgment. So stop judging yourself, stop judging others, just stay in your own swim lane, concentrate on your behaviors and try and make those old habits into new habits. But the control piece is huge and it's big. When we talk about awareness and this whole like self-development kind of thing, awareness is the biggest piece of it. If you can't get that awareness piece, it's hard to move on and grow and get the other pieces of it. So for me, it was just a daily practice, daily, making sure that what I was telling myself, that what I was aware of my behaviors, all of that stuff was in a positive frame. Because if it's not in a positive frame, then that's when you're running into issues and all this stuff. People that have stuff happen to them again and again and again and again, there's a reason for it. It's because they're not thinking about stuff right. They're not being positive. They're manifesting stuff that the stories that they're telling in their head.
Well, or not taking ownership.
Or not taking ownership is huge.
Because all those things happen again and again and again because of everything and everyone else around me, not
right.
me.
Right, and that, again, that's my story, right? For years and years and years, I would blame everybody else or everything else for the reasons why my life wasn't going the way I wanted it to be. And you know, if you know, something would happen with the kids or something would happen at work or wherever it would be, you know, oh, it was because of her, it was because of him, or it was because of this thing or that thing. And even though all of that stuff may have been the case, I never ever really thought about what did I own in that situation, because there's always something that you can own in a situation. And so then the next time you can be better at it because you grow from it when you think about it and you're self-aware about it. So.
Yeah, so that's really a big importance, what that means to us. On the flip side, what it means to everyone else around us too. And so you could also make a case that perception and first impressions that we have about people and things.
Yep.
Our first impressions are basically not how people are coming across to us, but how we view them.
Exactly.
And so, for instance, if you're trustworthy and view yourself as someone you can place trust in, your first impression with a person, you're going to see trust.
Right.
If you're maybe not comfortable with that, you can't trust that person.
Right. I think
that person's distrustful.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, if you're finding annoying behaviors in other people, there's a really likely chance that that behavior is something that you are also portraying out to the world. It's just that law of attraction. It's what we see, and it's, you know, so there's an easy tool for that. And we're going to talk about a lot of tools, but it's really just, it's control of your mind. It's retraining your brain. It's understanding that you're telling yourself these stories and that's what's happening. And so you can stop those stories with that self-awareness piece. You can really, you know, start to turn that around with some of these tools that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that is extremely interesting and difficult to do.
Yeah,
if
very
you don't
hard.
like something about someone or someone else, take a look in the mirror, because that's where it's coming from.
Yep.
That is a very difficult thing to do if you're not comfortable in your own skin.
Right. When I realized that, it was a huge thing for me, because I do a lot of work in the mirror, and we've talked about that before, and it's a tool that we're going to talk about on the next episode. But doing that work in the mirror means I can't lie to myself in the mirror, and we do that to ourselves a lot of time. It can be as little as exercise. I don't want to exercise. I got too much to do. You know, we tell ourselves reasons and we make excuses why not to do something. So when you can kind of turn that around and take ownership of, okay, just get up and do it, you know, and just really change those thoughts. You just don't let them come in. You don't let them come in. I think when you talk about, this is all about having to manage emotions, right? So this is about when something bad happens to you, or something negative, or something that's not, you know, joyful and happy. How do you handle that reaction? What is your reaction in that moment? Do you pause and try and handle it in a healthy way, or do you fly off the handle? Are you passive aggressive? Are you yelling and screaming at people? You know, how are you handling those situations? Again, how you handle those situations tells a lot about your inner health.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, and on the business side, they talk about too in the business climate, whether you're a CEO, a manager, or a position in leadership. And that is, if you have a view of your group, let's just say you don't view your group as having strong work ethic. Typically what that means is you're not viewing yourself as having strong work ethic.
Right.
But it can't come at you, you're redirecting it to somebody else. And so if you're a CEO, manager, or leader, I always say, when, you know, it's good to step back, take a look, and
look in the
the
mirror.
answers are usually in the mirror.
Props. We have props.
I was waiting for an opening.
I
there.
know, right? Yeah, but it's a really good, so self-awareness. So that whole situation, if you're self-aware and you're that leader in that situation and you're having those thoughts, it's a really good red flag for you to know that, okay, stop, red flag, why am I thinking these feelings? And again, pulling out a tool out of the toolbox, why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? How can I make this better? How can I stop this? And just really asking yourself some key questions to get your mind turned around so that it's going back in the right direction.
Now, really to hit home, which I usually like to do with people that I'm talking to and providing guidance, let's take it to where we all can understand, as parents.
Yeah,
Think
right.
of the messages we send to our children. When we share our perceptions of them,
Yeah.
be careful. I would think about where that's coming from first.
Yeah, it's been crazy as the last couple of years have kind of unfolded, and as I've continued to do some of the work that I've been doing, your kids watch you, So your kids watch you whether you are displaying bad behavior or good behavior. And so as a parent, it's really important to really walk the walk. You can talk to your kids. They're not always listening, right? But when they see you consistently day in and day out, living a healthy lifestyle, being positive, being self-aware, understanding that growth is important, when they see that, they pick that up and then they grow up and they can have those habits in their adult lives. Probably one of my biggest regrets, right? I mean, talked about in the last episode, I had Courtney when I was 20 years old. And so you don't get that kind of stuff when you're 20 years old, or I didn't anyway. I didn't have that baseline, and I've had to learn that baseline through the years. But it's amazing the difference I've seen in even my kids in the last couple of years as they've watched me kind of go through my journey. So it's look in the mirror.
Oh, yeah. And I think maybe to kind of end that segment, what you talked about there is we do become what we think, and then we attract what we think.
Right.
So again, self-awareness is very, very key and important in all of our lives. And so that's why we thought we'd kick off our segment on lifestyle satisfaction. If you're going to have any kind of satisfaction, it all starts in the mirror.
It all does.
So what does this all mean for everyone? I think we've kind of set the stage for what we want to talk about and what we want to take you down for the next journey. And so just like any map, I was at the state fair this past weekend, and we all know these maps. They're everywhere now.
Yeah.
But you look at the map, and it starts with this red arrow that says, you are here.
You are here.
And so before we go on any journey moving forward and help guide you through a journey of self-awareness, self-discovery, or rediscovery, maybe we're off a different path than what we used to, and now it's time to rediscover what makes us passionate and things like that is, let's start with the red arrow and the map. You are here.
Right.
And
so what does that mean? So if I'm somebody watching, like, what does that mean? What does that map look like?
Yeah, I think, again, if you can be very disciplined about doing this yourself, or if you need to engage family members and things like that, I think first is and foremost, there's a list of 4 things. One is, what are your natural giftedness or strengths? What are you really, really, really good at? Because chances are, if you're really good at it, you find time to do it, and you do it well.
And it's what makes you happy in doing it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You jump out of bed in the morning, you don't regret going to work, right? You just jump out of bed because it's what you love doing.
Yep. And then I think, secondly, is interest. What are you genuinely interested in? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What are you passionate about? What doesn't feel like work or effort?
Yeah.
Then look for opportunities. Yeah, where do I cast my line? What pond do I cast my line? And see where opportunities match what I'm really passionate about and what I'm really, really good and naturally gifted at, or have been trained in along the way, and things like that. And then lastly, and I think most importantly, is self-reflection on who am I not? And it's not a negative exercise. But if you understand what you're not, you will look for complementary partners to make you whole.
Right. I'm only smirking when you say that because I've taken a ton of those personality tests and everything through work too. And what I'm not is data and numbers, right? So I know that that's a weakness of mine. And so I surround myself with people who really get that at work, And so it's just, I agree, you have to really know your strengths and know your weaknesses, and your weaknesses don't make you bad. You don't have to be perfect. Everybody has weaknesses, but it's just understanding how to continue to work on them and understand them and be self-aware of them so that you're not bulldozing through them. How many people do we know that if they have a specific weakness, interrupting, this is something that I've worked on for years, interrupting. If they don't understand that they're interrupting and they're not self-aware that they're doing it, they're going to keep doing it. And they're probably going to continue to not have things go the way that they want them to go because they're not self-aware of that behavior.
Yeah.
So you got to have people in your life, like you said, that really go, hey, I just want to let you know that you're like a total interrupter, you know, so you got to be able to have those conversations with people and have people in your life that know how to have that back with you.
Yeah, and hold back the anger or the emotional response of defensiveness.
Right.
Because if you're not comfortable with who you are,
yeah,
you're likely very defensive.
Right. Don't ask for feedback if you're not ready to hear it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that takes a little more self-esteem and all those kinds of things to make that happen.
Yeah.
So now that we have maybe a foundational understanding of where we begin, I think it's important for the overall journey. Because once you understand who you are and who you aren't and interests and opportunities, you now can start making a path or creating a path. And most people will tell you, well, why don't you focus 80% of your time on what you're really good at, what you really like, and things like that. But, you know, life is very diverse.
Right.
We can't just hang out and doing things that we like. But
dang it.
Yeah. That's where, too, growth comes in.
Yeah, huge growth.
And that's where satisfaction comes into play, too. Because once you know who you are and where you want to go, you now kind of have a path for skill development or enrichment type things. And if there are things that you do have shortcomings on but can be coached, maybe yeah. And so I think the greatest satisfaction of all is if you get any comments like I got from a friend last week is, geez, can I watch you on these videos? And she knew me, 15, 16 years ago, and she goes, you are not the person you were back then. And I take great pride in being open-minded and a continual student. And so I'm always looking to learn.
Right.
And so I wouldn't expect me to be the same as last year even.
Right.
And that is all about being open-minded to not only learn, but experience new things, put yourself out there, and press on that comfort zone a little bit to pop out of what you might not be happy about. And how you're
I want to talk about perfectionism and baggage, right? So I think for me, and I know that this is the case for a lot of people, as we grow up and kind of go through life and we're, you know, in high school and college and as young adults, there's this box that society puts on us, that you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to be a certain way to get where you want to go. And this is where the perfectionism comes in, because you're always reaching and going and moving and, you know, going for that perfection. And at the end of the day, when you get there, my definition of perfection may be completely different than your definition of perfection, so you didn't really get there anyway, right? So I think that the reason that holds people back a lot of the times from really pursuing what they want, or even just going, okay, I need to work on my self-awareness, is the baggage that we have inside. Because as we're going through life and growing up and growing into adulthood and then having families and everything else, because of that box that we think we have to be in, a lot of stuff happens along the way, and a lot of times we push it down and push it down and push it down, and it becomes baggage that we carry with us. We carry it with us from one relationship to another. We carry it with us from one job to another. Our kids grow up with it. They carry it on with their kids. So there's all these patterns and all these habits that if you're not super concentrated on the self-development piece and on the awareness piece, it builds bad habits not only in yourself but around those who love you and those you love around you. So that baggage piece for me was the first thing I had to address when I went, okay, I'm unhappy and I want to find peace in all this chaos, but how do I do that? And I really had to do some exercises and some things, and it took a long time to really dig deep, what's going on down there, how do I let stuff go, and just really working through that. So I think that my advice is that if you're at a place and you're watching this and you know, you're like, yeah, I'm interested and I want to go there, you just have to do it, and you have to find the people along the way that can help you get there, because that baggage will continue to hold you back if you don't address it.
Yeah, society, I think, continues to want to work on, we all have to work on valuing the uniqueness of ourselves and others. We do as a society like our labels.
Yeah.
Whether it's generational on millennials, Xers, boomers, whether it's through assessments,
Yeah.
dominance, influencing, steadiness, you know, all that,
Yeah.
even male, female, ethnic, and all those kinds of things. And so if we can get past all the boxes and the labels
Yeah.
that maybe the media or marketing uses to kind of promote things,
Right.
boy, we could be better off and more comfortable in our skin, but more comfortable and appreciate those people around us as
Right.
well.
Right. I think about it, and if I would have had the perspective, so again, we talk about who knows where we are in our journey. I might be here, I might be there, I don't know. But what I do know is that if I would have had some of these tools and some of these things that I found in the last couple of years, if I would have had those, like at age 20 or even before that, it's amazing, I think, what people can do if they can just get those tools and really get that mindset way sooner in life.
Wow, time is flying right
I know,
by
right?
again.
We're like almost done. What is that? That's cool. Goes
So
fast.
we started out with what's up for you, what's in it for you,
Yeah.
and I think we should kind of put a closing wrap on what are the takeaways for you as an audience here. And so I think in summary, and jump in, Tina, you know, self-awareness, self-discovery is not a natural process.
No.
Don't take it for granted.
Very intentional.
Yeah, and really you need to take time to stop and pause, just like a workshop, and invest in yourself and just take a piece of paper and start jotting down strengths and giftedness, opportunities, interests. Where is that passion point?
I think the biggest thing too is you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there, you and I. I mean, we're so passionate about this subject. We've started our own business because of it, right? So there's a lot of people out there that will help guide you down the right path to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, and this will be the beginning of our moving from the arrow you are here right now to where you want to go, and starts to develop a foundation and a path as we move to future episodes here. I think a couple of key questions to ask yourself as you're going through this exercise is, what would you attempt to do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put those gremlins off the...
Fear.
Yeah.
That dang fear thing.
Yep. And I would also ask you, too, you keep this in the back of your mind when you go through the exercise here. Next episode, we will have tools that'll walk you through this, but I think it'll be good to mentally prepare ahead of time.
Yeah.
But they say whiners have to feel good before they act. Winners act first to feel good.
Yeah.
So there's that emotional component again where we could just start the exercise, get stuck,
Yep.
and not figure out how to move it forward.
Right. Yeah. Because we have to own what we own. So that's a huge piece of it. I'm really excited for the next episode when we get to talk about those tools. They're tools that I know you've used. They're tools that I use. I use them on a daily basis, and they really just help me navigate through my emotions. Because here's the thing: once you learn these tools, it's not like all the crazy town goes away. It's still there. You just learn how to manage the emotions and manage the reactions that you have along the way.
Yeah, so what Tina and I would ask of you is to distill your thoughts. Jot some things down on a piece of paper. Word of caution, you can help me here because we both have it. Don't try to perfect it on the first time around.
No perfection.
In fact, it will be very common as you work through this is to continually massage it over a period of time.
Right.
And because if you change, it will change.
Yep.
And so you're recalibrating.
Yeah, that perfectionism thing happens on a constant basis. I mean, even getting ready for this workshop on the 27th, I've had to really make some decisions about, okay, this isn't perfect. This poster isn't perfect. It's okay. It's got to go because of the timeline and because of where we're at. So when you let go of that perfectionism, it's freeing. It's really freeing. So yeah.
All right.
I think that's it, right? Are we at the conclusion of
think so.
our third episode?
Talk about letting go and being free. I think we should let go and let our audience be free to roll up the sleeves and get to work.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to see kind of how many of you really do the hard work. That's what it's all about, is that hard work. So we'll close this out, and we will be in touch on episode 4, where what are we gonna talk about in episode 4?
We're going to talk about the mirror.
The mirror, right?
Self-reflection, and not necessarily about self-awareness, but negative self-beliefs,
Right.
and some of those derailers of negative self-esteem and the benefits of positive self-esteem. But also then, now let's apply what we're talking about here. So the second half will be tools we're going to share.
And I actually have a template to start between now and then. People, if you wanted to start jotting some of that stuff down, but in the next episode, we'll actually give you a template to work on to use while you're doing that. So.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you
Our
next time.
focus is you.